Let's go to Arnold. If you'll be cool or call back, we'll get you on after we talk with Steve Parkhurst. He is a political consultant, and his organization is American Reconnaissance Political Consulting Group. Do I have that right?
It was close. It's actually American Renaissance, so it's not reconnaissance. It's Renaissance, but close enough.
I knew that. I was just messing up. Anyway, thank you for agreeing to be with us. And when I say political consulting, I was hoping to find somebody who could talk about how you get your candidates to navigate this. The Democrats are going to try to make this a huge issue in 2016, I'm thinking, but we want to talk to the people who make their living at it. So what do you make of this push for the minimum wage increase? What kind of people do you consult? What kind of races do you consult on?
Well, we consult on any level of races. I mean, all the way to, city councils, all the way up to, congressional, and then in between is the state reps and state senate. So,
okay.
Really anything, any level of candidates for office.
Should we raise the minimum wage come up in the races you've been working?
It really hasn't. And as much as the left has tried to kind of push this narrative of income inequality, this really hasn't come up. And I'll tell you, this doesn't affect the minimum wage per se, but I'll give you an example last year of something that we saw really play out during the election cycle. And we had a race in the Pasadena area up here in the Houston area. And what happened was the EPA kept coming in, and they kept issuing new regulations, and they kept talking about new regulations,
mm-hmm.
new ways they were going to strangle business. And we had a district that was about 40% of the district was directly employed in the petrochemical industries.
Huh.
And every time that the EPA would kind of issue these little hints that they were going to do something, we were able to go out and talk about that and take a message to families in those districts or in that district and say, look, if this happens, your neighbors could lose their jobs, you could lose your jobs, family members could lose jobs, and it made it real. And so, that's kind of what happens when you get into these debates about an issue like this, like minimum wage. And I mean, I've been listening to the show, and especially while I was on hold, you guys are covering it very well, and I think you're really hitting on some of the key themes, especially about how this affects families. And that's really the main thing is where does this affect families? And that's the message that you really take to the voters is to directly tell them, if we raise the minimum wage, this is what's going to happen. And for the most part, it's going to hurt, especially low income people, but
mm-hmm.
it's going to hurt the economy. It does not help the economy.
Well, my view is the economy's sucks now, and it's being underwritten by the low. I'm sorry. I'll let her go first.
I just wanted to know, how do you get that it's not going to work or it's not going to really benefit people? How do you get that across them that are protesting in New York and other cities that we need $15 an hour?
First, those guys in New York, I mean,
it's not just New York.
I don't take it as seriously as
230 other cities, but
I don't take it as seriously as you do because, and this is not a slur. This is all organized by. If it's not SEIU, it's some other union, and they're making a political point.
Exactly,
they're really
because the right doesn't want minimum wage, and we want what's best for you, but they don't know the truth behind it, which that's what we're trying to figure out.
The truth is to let the boss get all the money, right? That's what Ravi Batra said. Sorry, we're having an internecine dispute here.
That's all right. A lot of this it really comes down to the politics of good intentions, where they come out and they say, we want to raise the minimum wage, and we want to, it's gonna be a boon. Everybody's gonna benefit. And it sounds good, and then you start putting it into practice, and it's not good. And yes, some cities have already, like Seattle, San Francisco, they're already up to $15 an hour. There was a study in the last couple of weeks, maybe even last week, about Oakland, the city of Oakland in California. They raised their minimum wage not to $15, but just to $12.25. And it's harming business there. And the left will come out and they'll say, well, it's only really hurting 30% of the employers. Well,
that's still a lot.
If you're employed by one of those 30% of the employers and you're the one losing your job, then it directly affects you, and that's not good.
We're only going to kill 30% of you, so the other 60, 70%. Now, here's something just occurred to me, and this was something that we talked with a fella, Stephen Prince in Tennessee, who runs he makes cards, gift cards. And he was saying, because I said, if you raise minimum wage, that increase is going to put some people out of business, right? There's the psychology of price points. Mm-hmm. You price something at $9.99
because we mentioned Seattle and how a lot of
But here's what he said, and I never thought about it. He said, well, if minimum wage increase puts you out of business, you probably shouldn't be in business anyway. And I understand what he means. It means the business is very fragile. But if what seems to me is businesses are not in good shape because, well, what this guy's saying, if they raise it to $12 an hour in California, is that what you said?
Mm-hmm.
Well, prices in
$12.25 in Oakland.
Well, everything in land in California is piratically expensive. That says to me the businesses are not in good shape. Now, I don't know why. Either the business people are incompetent, people don't have money to spend there, or the cost of doing business is just really, really high. You see what I'm getting at? Which is a conservative argument, seems to me.
It is.
You're not buying.
And when the thing about it is sure, every business has. I mean, they're in business, especially the small businessman. Is okay. You can't compete if you're a mom and pop burger stand and you have one location. Mm-hmm. You can't compete with Burger King, and that's not necessarily the point. You might make a better product than Burger King. In fact, the chances are pretty good that you do. But if you only employ 5 to 10 people and you run a mom and pop burger stand, mm-hmm. that's 5 to 10 people that are employed in that community and they have jobs. You're probably
making. I'm assuming you're making a living. You are not probably creating wealth like a franchisee can create wealth because of the systems involved, I guess.
Right. Well, and I would argue, if I think it's better, think about the economics of it, which is, that's what this is about. But if you have people, if you're gonna raise the minimum wage and put people out of work, isn't it better in that economy to leave the minimum wage where it was and have those people with jobs?
So how do you address, it's my belief anyway, that people in the middle are increasingly frustrated and unhappy, and I have nothing to base this on, about, that's okay. In talk radio, you don't have to have anything to base anything on. You just have to have an opinion. That people feel squeezed, right? It's hard to put their kids through school. It's hard to do this. It's hard to do that. And they're going to end up blaming somebody. I just don't know who it's going to be and don't know when it's going to be. When I say let's blame the rich people because I don't know where they live, so I can't go get them. But my concern is that the left is going to sing a better siren song than conservatives sing, essentially suck it up and get another job. How's that, Mr. Parkhurst?
Yeah, and that's often the case. I mean, I said a while ago, this minimum wage battle comes down to the politics of good intentions, and it's not always politics of the best results. It's the politics of good intentions, and it's like, well, Obamacare, it sounds great. Hey, everybody's going to have coverage. Well, the downside is people that had coverage are no longer on their coverage. People that had minimum coverage are now paying more for that same coverage. I mean, it was the politics of good intentions that, hey, everybody was going to have insurance, and that really wasn't the problem. And it didn't, certainly, that didn't address the issue of health care in this country. So, again, politics of good intentions, and it's, you're right. Yeah. It's always the people in the middle that are getting squeezed, and this, the minimum wage it's just not going to help them. Increasing the minimum wage is not going to help.
It's April of 2015. I'm assuming that you're going to have candidates in general election 2016. Good year for Republicans and right wingers, or good year for Democrats and left wingers?
The history of especially presidential cycles, it favors the right wingers. So good year for them. As far as, the legislatures across the country and the governorships, definitely favors the right wingers because the legislatures and the state movements are moving that way. At the presidential level, you get involved in this electoral college, and it really skews things where you have New York and California that always go radically left. Who knows what's going to happen there? It should favor the right wingers just because the ebbs and flows where typically this country has 8 years of one, 8 years of the other. Mm-hmm. Very rarely does one party win, a second term or a second.
Yeah.
George Bush was the most recent vice president to have won, from his own party, mm-hmm. and continue and because typically, like I said, we go back and forth.
Before we go, Steve, I was on your Twitter and I see that you were a Dodgers fan, and I think you just became my favorite political consultant because I am too a Dodgers fan.
I'll tell you a little bit about how that happened. I grew up in San Antonio, and we used to have the San Antonio Dodgers was the minor league affiliate when I was growing up. So a lot of the Dodgers, specifically Fernando Valenzuela, Steve Sachs,
mm-hmm,
Roller Kaiser,
mm-hmm.
saw all those guys play in San Antonio before they ever got to the big league.
Wow.
So so just how I became a Dodgers fan.
Well, I have my reasons as well, but Kershaw's pitching tonight, so hopefully we'll get that W. Anyway.
Oh, it's going to be a good night in that case.
Stephen Parkhurst is with
Steve.
American Renaissance Political Consulting Group, and you consult all over Texas, all levels?
All over Texas, all levels. We also have, we work in other states as well, Florida, Pennsylvania, California, so Missouri, a little bit everywhere. So.
All right, well, thank you very much, and
Thank
we'll
you,
put you in the Rolodex, and maybe we can do this again.
Sounds great. I enjoyed it.
Same
Thank
here.
you, Steve. Bye-bye.
All right, so what do you think?
I like that he's a Dodgers fan. Sorry.
800-580-8255. That's 800-580-TALK on 710 KURV.
You like us, so like us on Facebook. The latest news, weather, and information. News Talk 710 KURV. KURV.com.